Today I'm going to show you how to make your own lacto fermented pickles. So let's get to it. What you're going to need for making your lacto fermented pickles obviously are cucumbers. I'm not using pickling cucumbers. I'm just using my straight 8 cucumbers because I'm getting a lot and I need to use them up and preserve them somehow. So that's what I'm going to do with those, obviously. And you'll need some glass jars. I'm using quart jars for this. You'll need your fermentation starter. And again, I have a video on how to make this. So if you haven't seen that, make sure to watch that first. You want your fermentation starter for this particular process that I'm doing. And salt. So these are the things you must have. Well, maybe not the salt. You don't have to have the salt, but I just don't think it would taste very good without at least a little bit of salt. And then whatever extras you want to add. Today I'm keeping it fairly simple, but I'm going to use some garden-grown onions. These are store-bought. I have some cayenne pepper out there, but it's not ready yet. So I cannot remember the name of these. I'd never heard of them before. It said hot, but they were actually not near as hot as a jalapeno, which most of you know isn't super duper hot. And I'm going to use some dehydrated sliced garlic. This isn't my garlic. I actually bought this garlic, but I love this. I have lots of garlic grown in the onion, in the garden, but I just love this garlic. It's so good. And then just make it a little extra spicy. Some red pepper flakes. And then I also have zucchini. Like who's not growing zucchini, who doesn't have a little more zucchini than they need. So I figure once I fill a few jars, I might do a jar of just zucchini pickles. I've never done fermented zucchini pickles, so I'm gonna try that today. So I'm gonna get started. I'm not gonna show the whole chopping process because I'm assuming everybody who's doing this should already know how to use a knife and how to chop. So I'm gonna chop all this stuff up and get it ready, and then I'll come back. Now that I've got some of this stuff chopped up, I'm going to show you how I typically like to put things in the jar. This is just my way. You can do it however you want. But I am going to just kind of throw things in there like this, sort of layer it a little bit. And I'm not going to have enough of these peppers as much as I thought to do all the jars. So I'm just going to put a couple in there. More onions, a few more cucumber pieces, more onions. Isn't that just nice the way I just kind of do that? A few more pieces of peppers. Just keep throwing them in there, just kind of layer it. Depending on what you're doing, you can throw your stuff at the bottom. Oh, and before I get it too full, then that's when I want to sprinkle in my dehydrated garlic, some red pepper flakes, and you can see about how much I'm using. Obviously this is going to be a matter of taste. About a teaspoon-ish of salt. I don't use measuring spoons or cups very often. I'll get to that in a minute. Let me finish throwing some more cucumber pieces in there and then packing it down. There's going to be a lot of airspace in there, but I'm not too worried about that. So the one thing you need to know about lacto fermented cucumbers is that they will not stay crunchy for a long period of time. They will keep for a long period of time in your fridge, but they won't stay crunchy. So that's why typically I'm only going to do a couple of jars of these at a time because of that. You want to eat them up pretty quick, within a few days once they're fermented. And what I'm going to use, if you watch the fermentation starter and how to make it, this is the grape. And this is the blackberry I started that day. Both are very ready. I haven't fed them today. I will do that as soon as I use some of this. So what you want to do for a quart jar is you're going to pour off. I forgot to get my little mesh thing out. Doesn't really matter if you get fruit in there, but that may be a matter of choice. I'm using the grape raisin fermentation starter, and that's a 1/4 cup. So a 1/4 cup of the liquid per quart jar. So obviously if you're going to do a 1/2 gallon jar, you're going to use a 1/2 cup of the liquid. All right, and then I need to pause for a moment. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your filtered rainwater, spring water, whatever non-chlorinated, non-fluoridated water you have, and you're going to just pour it over the top. All the way until everything is covered. Alright, and then you're going to take a nice tight fitting lid, which in this case, canning lid, and you're going to screw that on just fingertip tight. Don't wrench it on there tight. You want some the air to be able to escape. And then you can shake it up real good, and then you just set it on your counter and let it do its thing. 3 days. All right, I'm going to go ahead and fill up a couple more jars, and then I'm going to come back and show you the jars I have filled and a little bit more information on your fermentation starter, and then the rest of the process. This is what I decided. I'm just going to do 3 jars. I still have several cucumbers left, but I'm afraid these won't get eaten up fast enough. Though I plan on giving a jar of these to my oldest son. He loves kimchi and he loves spicy. And when I realized that Ryan and I are the only ones that will eat the fermented vegetables, and we're also the only ones that really like spice, I decided to add a little more of the red pepper flakes to these. So you can see it's got a little more of the red floaty things in there, and that should make it, with that and then these peppers, that should make it nice and spicy and yummy. So anyway, again, don't put your lids on too tight. Fingertip tight is good enough. You want some air to escape. You can lay a kitchen towel down under these and then just set them somewhere out of the way. You can put them on top of your fridge, but on top of the fridge you especially want to put a towel under them because you don't want them leaking, going behind the refrigerator and all that. But a warm place is good. I find, especially in the summertime, putting them right here is plenty. Keep an eye on them for the next couple of days. By day 3, these should be nice and bubbly and ready to eat. I'm not kidding you when I say these will be fermented in 3 days by using your fermentation starter. And you'll know it because these things will start making sound. You'll hear it starting to fizz. You won't even have to touch it. And you'll go, what in the world does that sound? And you'll come in here and you'll realize it's this. And when it's doing that, you might even want to loosen the lid a little bit and just be careful because it can get rather explosive if you let it go too far. And so you just want to make sure that gas can escape and have that towel under there to catch any liquid that dribbles out. So just like, shaking up a bottle of soda or a can of soda. That's right, we have cans. We don't do bottled soda anymore, I guess, around here. Of course, we don't drink soda, so I don't care. But anyway, shaking up a soda and it's going to go everywhere when you open it. This is similar. You don't even have to shake it. It will just do that because those gases are going to build up in there. And yeah. But anyway, that's how you know it's ready. And if you like any kind of lacto fermented bubbly thing, you're going to love these. My favorite kind of pickles. And again, these will keep in the refrigerator for a very, very long time. Anything that's lacto fermented will store for a very long time in your refrigerator. But for the cucumbers in particular, if you want them crunchy, you'll need to eat them up right away. All right, so I wanted to also show you, that's why I left this like this. I wanted to show you the next thing you're going to do. I remembered after making the fermentation starter that coconut sugar is also a good option, but I wanted to double check before I recommend it. I'm going to go ahead and try it in this particular batch. It shouldn't affect the fermentation process at all, but it may affect the flavor. It may possibly make it a little bit bitter, but for your starter, that may not matter. So for the the grape one so I know which one it is. I'm just going to add, since I used some of it up, it's a little bit too much. You can see that's about a teaspoon-ish in there. Okay, that back away. And then obviously your other option is going to be your organic cane sugar. Honey isn't necessarily recommended, though it probably would work. I just wouldn't recommend it. And then you're going to top it off with your filtered water. And then tomorrow, this will be ready for making more fermented stuff. And you shake a little bit, let that mix around in there. And again, you do have to feed, if it's really warm, you're going to want to feed this on a daily basis. If you store it in your fridge, then just feed it once a week should be sufficient, just to keep it alive. All right, because this is going to keep, the bacteria in there is going to keep eating that sugar. And when it runs out of sugar, it's going to starve. So you got to give it a little sugar every now and then. But you don't have to. Usually, I can leave this like this for a year. Maybe throw in some more fruit every so often, and then I'll throw it out and start a new batch. But just a little bit of fruit, and you've got a fermentation starter to ferment anything with. All right, so I believe that's everything. It seemed like there was one more thing. Oh, I remember what it is now. One more thing I wanted to show you. In this bottle, rubbing alcohol. And what do I use that for? Well, I reuse my metal lids. This is why you don't want to throw out your metal lids unless they're too bent up. And then you can remove any writing by just squirting a little bit of rubbing alcohol on there. There you go. That had been written on with permanent ink. There's another one. Squirt that on there. Spread it around. This one might be a little more difficult because I'm doing it as a demonstration. This one just on there a little bit harder, but anyway, you just it usually comes right off. This left a little more residue, but that one's actually been written on several times. And here's one more. Tomatoes 2014. Spread that around. It's mostly gone already. Take a dry cloth, wipe it off. Okay. You can kind of see there's a little bit of writing still there, but that's no big deal. You can just write right over the top of it, and that's not even going to be noticeable. So that's one way to get that off there. Sometimes it'll come off completely, and other times it'll leave a little bit of marking. But as long as you can write over the top of it again, and it's legible, that's all that really matters, right? All right, so there you have it. Lacto Fermented Pickles. Well, they're not quite there yet. They will be there in 3 days, and I'll probably do an update video to show you what these look like at that time. All right, thanks for watching.